What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be ranking all of the Fortnite seasons. I'm going to be talking about what I liked about the season, what I didn't like about the season, and where I would rank it on the season tier list. If you guys do enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and comment down below what seasons you disagree with, what your favorite season was, what your least favorite season was. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things you would disagree with on my tier list, and I'm going to be going off mostly personal preference and just how fun I think the season was, but I'm also going to kind of try to gauge it from a more modern perspective, because a lot of the earlier seasons I feel like wouldn't hold up by today's standards, and for some of this I might go rather quickly because I already recorded this video once and it was 45 minutes and I felt like that was too long to post, so we're just going to get right into it. Starting off with season 1, where is it? Season 1 I put C tier. At the time I would put it much higher, but this was a very small update. It was mainly just Fortnitemares. It didn't add too much to the game. There wasn't a battle pass. There wasn't really map changes. It was mainly just the Fortnitemares update, and Season 1 of Fortnite was really good in its time, but if you were to go back to it today, I don't think it would be liked nearly as much. Like, people gas the older seasons, but I put it C tier. Season 2 we'll put B tier. Made a lot of map changes. Not initially. When the season first dropped, I believe the only thing that they added was the battle pass, but midway through the season they made a lot of map changes, bringing in POIs like Tilted, Snobby Shores, Haunted Hills, Junk Junction, a lot of unnamed spots. They added so much to the map with the Tilted Towers update. It's kind of known as the Tilted Towers update because Tilted was the most, notable POI in Fortnite for a long time. But Season 2 is really good. At the time, it was amazing, don't get me wrong, like I said before, but there's just been so many quality of life features that came later down the road that I feel like if you go back to old Fortnite, I don't think a lot of people would like it. Season 3, we're going to put A tier. Season 3 is where we kind of still have vanilla-ish Fortnite. It's still very basic, but we got things like 60 FPS on console, which, by the way, if you were playing on console, which I was at the time, Season 1 and 2 were 30 FPS. Trying to play on that today would not be enjoyable. We also got Turbo Build, and I believe Builder Pro added in Season 3 as well. And Turbo Build is kind of a divisive topic. Some people really like it, some people really don't. But personally, I enjoy building, and I enjoy building being part of the game. And Turbo Build changed building from just being an afterthought that you would kind of do sometimes in a fight to like the main thing people would use in fights. It's what made build fighting really a thing. And once it got added, everybody kind of started getting better, and that was bad for some people, but I, actually enjoy Fortnite, so yeah, I think it's fine. And this is like the end of vanilla Fortnite, in my opinion. These seasons were kind of bland by today's standards. There wasn't very many like insane map changes or storyline developments going on. But Season 4 is when we start to get that. Season 4, we got the meteors hitting Dusty Depot, creating Dusty Divot, which was really cool. It was like the first time we really had like some sort of like crazy map change at the start of the season. And it was kind of teased towards the end of Season 3. They had meteors falling from the sky. And then the Dusty Divot like kind of storyline I thought was really cool. We had Dusty Divot, which was just a crater in the ground. And then it became like a military base where they were studying some sort of meteor in the middle. And then the visitor broke out of the meteor, went and made a rocket, launched it, and then Dusty Divot just kind of became an abandoned military base for the remainder of Chapter 1, or up until Season X, I guess. But yeah, it's S tier. That's my favorite season ever, I think, is Season 4. Season 5 is a very scuffed season. We're going to put it in A tier for now, but I think it'll go down. So Double Pump was like the meta up until this point, and in Season 4, Epic really tried to address that by nerfing the shotguns and buffing the SMGs. And shotguns and the entire balance of the game was balanced around the ability to use double shotgun. But in Season 5, they completely removed double shotgun, but didn't buff the shotguns. So the shotguns were balanced to be used 2 at a time, and the SMGs were balanced to compete with double pump. So what we got was like terrible shotguns and really insane SMGs. And it took them a while to fix it. I don't think they fixed it until like Season 6. But this season was like the first like really annoying spray meta. A lot of people were unhappy with the game. This is when you first start to see those like Fortnite is dying trends pop up. But I really liked the map changes at the same time this season. Paradise Palms replacing Moisty Mire is a good change, and I would love to see Paradise back today. I think it's one of the best POIs ever. Lazy Links was really good, but the meta this season was just so bad that even though I had a lot of fun at the time, I don't like, if we went back to Season 5, I think a lot of people would be unhappy with it. So we're going to put it B tier. At the time, it probably would have been S for me. I actually really enjoyed playing that season. But the meta was just terrible. Season 6, I'm going to put A tier, I think. We ended up getting a shotgun buff and a rework towards the end of the season or towards the middle of the season, which fixed the problems I was talking about before. And they made the shotguns way more consistent than they had been in the past. Like, shotguns are based, the damage you get is based on how many pellets you hit. And this is when we got that indicator that shows you how many pellets you hit. And we also got the minimum pellet damage, to where if you hit 1 pellet, you get 3 pellets worth of damage. If you hit 2 pellets, you get 3 pellets. It made the shotguns way more consistent, and you weren't doing like 7 damage to the head anymore. And it like addressed the problems of Season 5. The map changes I really liked, most notably the butterfly event transforming Loot Lake in real time. This season would be S tier for me, but the zombies they added for Fortnitemares was not very good. There was just zombies roaming the map all the time. If you think the wildlife are annoying right now in Fortnite, just imagine like a horde of zombies chasing you the entire time while you're trying to fight people. It was very irritating. So Season 7, initially I'd put F tier. This is the end of peak Fortnite for me. Like, these first 6 seasons are what I consider to be peak Fortnite. Season 7 added a lot of things I didn't like. The map changes they made were terrible in my opinion. They just destroyed Greasy Grove for no reason. Like, I feel like it's one thing to take a POI out and put a new one there, but with Greasy they just left a frozen lake for no reason at all. They could have had Greasy Grove there with Polar Peak, but they just never did that. Planes were very, 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 very irritating to me. But at the same time, we got things like Siphon, which is the best update ever, in my opinion. The Deagle meta was fun, even though it was really busted, and it was the first time we had like not a shotgun SMG meta, pretty much, or double shotgun meta. Like, this was the first time that really happened. And then also, one update that I feel like is really underrated from this season is they made it to where RPGs were only available in supply drops. And RPG and rocket spam was really annoying at the time, or pretty much throughout all of Fortnite up to that point. And so they made it to where you could only get RPGs out of supply drops, and it made the game way better. They ended up undoing that in Chapter 2, but for Season 7, that was good. So at the time, I really hated this season, but looking back on some of the changes they made, I kind of want to say C+, B- maybe. Another negative aspect of this season was they had the snow zombies. So I talked about in Season 6, they had zombies. For some reason in Season 7, they had snow zombies. And the snowstorm was going on like constantly. Like, if you've seen the fog recently in Fortnite, it like really hurts your visibility, and the game is just really not enjoyable to look at whatsoever. We basically had that constantly with a snowstorm, and then there was also snow zombies going around attacking you for some reason. Didn't make any sense. So I think I was too harsh on this season at the time. Like, it gets a higher rating now than it would before. But yeah, the Season 7 is a very interesting and like kind of difficult to rank season because there's a lot of positives and negatives about it. Season 8, I think I'm going to put B tier. This is a very just okay season. I feel like I wasn't a huge fan of the map changes. They took out Lazy Links and made it Lazy Lagoon. And then they also took out Weeping Woods or Wailing Woods. I think it was Wailing Woods. They took out Wailing Woods and added the volcano. And I was never a huge fan of the volcano. And this season really didn't do anything bad. They eventually removed Siphon, but we had Siphon for some of it. This was a very bland season, I feel like. The biggest thing people complained about this season was that Lux was the tier 100 skin, and a lot of people didn't feel like she was actually meant to be tier 100, and that Epic just did it to have a female tier 100 skin, because that's what Apex did. But I didn't care about that whatsoever. As far as like the gameplay goes, it was a good season. It wasn't too good, it wasn't too bad either. I'll put it at B tier. Definitely above average. And one of the things that kind of started happening towards the end of this season was the volcano eruption, which eventually destroyed Tilted Towers and created Neo Tilted. So we have Season 9 here. This is a pretty crazy season in terms of changes. They removed Tilted Towers and put Neo Tilted, and obviously Tilted was like the POI at the time. They removed Retail Row and put Mega Mall. And then they also removed the pump shotgun and added the combat shotgun. And if you didn't use the combat shotgun in Season 9, you didn't use the combat shotgun. The combat shotgun we have now is a hugely nerfed version of it. But I thought this season was better than a lot of people did. I think at the time it was getting a decent amount of hate, especially because the pump was removed. But I thought the combat was still at least fun to use, so it was fine. And then the 14 Days of Summer event was this season, and I feel like that is what really like kind of propels it from C tier to B tier. Each day, there was a different weapon unvaulted for that day, and also a different LTM added, if I remember correctly. So there was so much content coming to the game over the course of 2 weeks, or recycled content. But it was exciting to play nonetheless. And if they did something like that for this year, this summer event this year, I think this season will be remembered much more fondly. But we didn't get a good summer event in Season 3. But I put Season 9 at B tier. Season X, F. Terrible season. We got mechs. Horrible. We got Rift Zones, which were a cool concept, I think, but each one had a gimmick that was just not fun to play. Greasy Grove had Taco Time, where tacos rained from the sky, forcing you to dance, and everybody regen to HP during that time. So if you had someone really one-shot and you were about to kill them and Taco Time happened, rip your kill. Paradise Palms became Moisty Palms, and if you crouched, you turned into a prop, and it was basically like a prop hunt POI. Tilted Town had no building, which is kind of cool, but if you had a game end there, it was kind of annoying, and then also you couldn't destroy any structures at all in Tilted Town, so it kind of became really campy. And each POI eventually became something like this. By the end of the season, there was very few places that you could land, and obviously we had the mechs, which were really annoying as well. It was the worst season of Fortnite, in my opinion. Chapter 2 Season 1. This season is very hard to rank because I think this season was okay. We got a brand new map, and I was never too fond of the Chapter 2 map personally, but my biggest complaint about the Chapter 2 map was the lack of map changes. And obviously, day one, we don't really expect map changes, you know? There's definitely some good POIs and some memorable locations from the Chapter 2 map, but the main problem with this season was just a lack of content. This is the longest Fortnite season ever, and I believe the only updates this season were they added a harpoon, which the harpoon is in the game now. Who uses it, you know? I think they added launch pads. I don't think they were there at the start. And then also there was like a Star Wars collab at one point where they showed a trailer for the movie on Risky Reels, and they had the lightsabers in the game and the E11s, I think. That was it for 128 days. This is still the longest season, and it's still the season with the least amount of updates. So I'm going to put it C tier for that. It wasn't actively bad. It was just boring. And up until this point, we had kind of been conditioned to expect regular updates and regular content in Fortnite. And Chapter 2 Season 1 just didn't do that. And I feel like this put a stain on all of Chapter 2. Because Chapter 2 Season 2 is hard for me to rank. I think this could be a top 3 season of all time, personally. The main problem with this season was, once again, the delays. Once the delays started happening, there wasn't very many updates, if any at all. And we went, I believe, like 2 additional months longer than what it was supposed to be. I believe Chapter 2 Season 1 was 128 days, and this season was 120. So it was like barely shorter than Chapter 2 Season 1. But this season, when it first came out, was amazing. This was the first time we got the mythics in the game. We had all the map changes with the agency POIs, or the henchman-controlled POIs. So we had like agency, grotto, the rig, the yacht, and the shark. There was like 5 new POIs, each with a boss character which had a mythic weapon. And for what this season was meant to be, there was a lot of updates and a lot of good content added to the game. However, once those delays started, we didn't get any updates and we didn't get any content. So that's why it's hard for me to rank. If the delays never happened, this would potentially be the best season ever, in my opinion. But I kind of want to put it to like B+, A-. We'll put it in A tier. It was mainly just the delays. That was the biggest problem. And like, I feel like when people look at delays, they're like, okay, so the season was longer. But it wasn't just like that, you know? We would get a date when the season was going to end. We would get to that date, and then they'd push it back again. And that just kept happening, and it was so frustrating to play the game. Especially, like I had said, up until Chapter 2, we had been conditioned to expect regular updates. Chapter 2 Season 3, I don't know how to rank this season. I played it for 2 days. I was so irritated with the delays of Chapter 2 Season 1 and Chapter 2 Season 2, and just how long those seasons were, that when this season launched, and it wasn't immediately what I personally wanted, I was like, I don't want to play 128 days of this, you know what I mean? The gimmick, or the idea for this season, I think was actually incredibly cool. It was that the map was flooded, and then over the course of the season, the water level would go down and reveal more and more of the map, which is awesome. I think that's one of the coolest ideas they've had for a season. But I didn't have confidence those updates were going to come because they kept delaying the seasons for just random reasons. Like, it's one thing to delay seasons for content or like game not being ready, but like Chapter 2 Season 2 into Chapter 2 Season 3, they were delaying for like political reasons at times and just like seemingly very arbitrary things that had nothing to do with the gameplay. And so yeah, Chapter 2 Season 3, I didn't give it a fair chance because I expected it to be way too long and it wasn't immediately what I wanted. And I quit playing the game and went to Warzone. In hindsight, if I kept playing the game, I think I would have really enjoyed this season because the water level did go down and it actually was one of the shortest Fortnite seasons ever. So that change happened rather fast, but up until that point, both of the seasons in Chapter 2 had been 120 plus days long with not enough content and significant delays. So I started playing Warzone and I didn't play for the rest of Chapter 2 pretty much. I started playing again Chapter 2 Season 8. And this season, I don't really know how to rank because I was just coming back to the game. I started playing the game again because Literally, Warzone was in a weird spot. I wasn't excited for Vanguard, and I saw a Cypher PK video on my recommended about how Chapter 2 was ending, and I was like, all right, bet. Chapter 2 ending? That's awesome. One of my favorite things about map changes, or Fortnite, is map changes, and Chapter 2 didn't have very many map changes. I quit playing at Chapter 2 Season 3, came back in Chapter 2 Season 8 basically a year and a half later, and the map was still pretty much the same. I was landing at all of the same POIs pretty much. So yeah, I think I'll put this season C tier. I really don't know how to rank it because I was just kind of getting new to the game again. And so I feel like it's tough to say that. I played for like the last like month, maybe last like 5 to 6 weeks. Chapter 3 Season 1, I'm going to put C tier as well. The season was okay. We got a new map, obviously. I think the Chapter 3 map is better than the Chapter 2 map, but worse than the Chapter 1 map, so it's kind of in the middle. We had the Spider-Man web slingers, which were really fun, but they were also really overpowered and really annoying for me personally. We have the Grapple Glove in the game right now, and I think the Grapple Glove is a much better balanced version of the Spider-Man web slinger. With the Spider-Man web slinger, we had 80 uses instead of 30, and then also you could shoot right after you grapple. So the way the Grapple Glove is, if you grapple, you have to land before you can shoot again. With the Spider-Man web slinger, you could just grapple up to height and then shoot somebody with your shotgun from midair. Also, the shotguns were really bad. If you think the Chapter 3 shotguns are bad now, they were so much worse in Chapter 3 Season 1. They've been buffed many, many, many times. Also, the Stinger SMG has been nerfed many times, and even the MK7 was really overpowered in this season. If you came in with Chapter 2 Season 2, then MK, I think, had like 4 less damage in Chapter 2 Season 2. Like, they nerfed it pretty hard. But this season, the shotguns were trash. Just huge spray meta, which is never really that enjoyable. And it was actually a pretty long season. I forget exactly how many days it was, but it was a long season. I think it went from early December 2021 to late March 2022. So it was a decent chunk of time. Chapter 2 Season 2, I would put B+, A-. I think this season was pretty good. Obviously, it's added zero build. The main knock against this season would be things like the tank, the battle bus, the drum shotgun. But this was a decently paced season, and there was a decent amount of map changes over the course of the season with the IO and 7 fighting over different POIs, and I thought the event was pretty cool, and just the pacing of this season was really good, and pacing I feel like is very important, and that's why I'll put this season at B-, C+, I think. Chapter 3 Season 3 I think was overall a good season. Actually, we'll put it B. I think this season was pretty good. I would say it's better than Chapter 2 Season 2. The main knock against it is just the pacing isn't the best because Epic's summer break. They went on break, and the summer event just turned out to not be very much content. But I think it's still a good season, and it did rectify some of the problems of last season with tanks being removed, the drum shotty being removed, the combat SMG being removed. I forgot to mention that in Chapter 2 Season 2, the combat SMG was ridiculous, and it was so surprising because the main complaint in Chapter 3 Season 1 was the spray meta, and then Chapter 3 Season 2 comes along and they give us a more overpowered SMG. It's kind of insane. But that is going to be it for this video. This is how I would rank the Fortnite seasons. Let me know where you differ, what you agree on, what you disagree on, all that in the comments below. I'm down to discuss anything with Fortnite. There probably are some things I've left out or forgot to talk about, but I wanted to keep this video shorter because I had tried to record it already, and the first take of it was 45 minutes long, and I felt like that was way too long to post. So that is going to be it for the video. Give it a like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.